There was this one tweet a while ago. You know how people push the idea that you grow out of gender dysphoria because there are a lot of cis girls who want to be boys, but then they realize that they're actually women and they stopped being trans. But like in reality, it's just like young girls already experience so much misogyny. They see how they are being treated. They see how the boys are being treated. They see the difference. And it just makes them wish that they weren't girls in order to escape that misogyny. That doesn't make someone trans. It also doesn't mean that you're trans when you're a boy and you wish you were a girl because you think the girls have it easier. If that is the reason why you want to switch genders and you want to like live as the opposite because you think that it's going to be easier or you're trying to escape like certain abuse, etc., then you're not trans. It's the same with like people saying that you're not gay because like gay people were actually abused by a man and now they have to like relive that trauma by dating other men. It's like, no, this is like different. It's like it's a trauma response, like trying to like get through your trauma by engaging in like sexual activity with someone that looks similar to your abuser. That doesn't mean you're gay, but like you realizing that like, oh no, you're just set in your gender identity, it doesn't mean you like desisted, you know, because you weren't trans. You're also not a detransitioner. If you like have like such problems with that you like start taking HRT and then you realize, oh, it's not the right path for you. Like you didn't stop being trans because you were never trans to begin with. Like I don't want to invalidate someone's path. I'm glad that people have like the ability to like try this out and realize what is good for them. What I hate is when people like that go out of their way and try to appeal to like right-wing fascists in order to take away the healthcare that they needed in order to figure themselves out. Detransitioners who become transphobic are the worst because, bro, you got to experience what it's like to be the wrong gender. Like, what they experience is like the steps they needed to go through in order to get that treatment, and it helped them figure themselves out instead of them sitting there and wondering what if. I feel like way too many cis people don't know who they are because they don't have the ability to like explore that gender identity and like look at themselves beyond the social construct of like this European Christian ideology. I know there are a lot of cultures where people are able to freely express themselves and figure themselves out and aren't bound to this like biological and sociological restriction. Like here in Europe, like America, like the concept of one's gender was influenced by religion, by Christianity, by a patriarchal system that wants to lock people in boxes in order to oppress them better. I feel like if people are able to like break free from that, explore who they are, freely express themselves, then people wouldn't be opposed to being trans or being non-binary, etc. Freedom, America, yeah, unless you actually want to freely express your gender identity or your opinion that goes against the regime. My flatmate from uni was a detransitioner and she was the biggest trans advocate because she went on T and said that she felt exactly what it actually means. You feel like you're in the wrong body and realize she's a woman and wants trans people to have access to the healthcare they need for that. Yeah, exactly. Pre-Christianity Europe was super gay. The thing is like the idea of homosexuality is a Christian thing. I don't know if I can find the source for it, but there's like scripture where people just talk about emperors and being like, oh, they, you know, had relations with men, they had relations with women, and they didn't put like a word on it. It's just like, that's a relationship. An emperor who loved men and who loved women. In fact, that people act like gay and trans people are new is really funny to me. It's sad. Yeah. It's just holding on to that concept that Christian values, like conservative values, are just biological facts, and we should just like accept that instead of breaking free from the Matrix. There's nothing more masculine than dominating another man, probably some Greek Spartan boy a long time ago. I feel like that is the appeal for a lot of like conservatives or Republicans when it comes to like trans women. I feel like a lot of Republicans, a lot of conservatives are gay, but they try to find ways in order to like justify being gay, where it's like, oh, I'm not gay, I'm just attracted to femboys. I want to smash men. I don't want to be gay, so I have to smash men who look like women. And I feel like that is why a lot of conservatives always freak out when trans women have bottom surgery, because then you're no longer a man who looks like a woman, but you're just a woman to these people. I know entire discords of such people is really bad. Yeah, I would avoid them. Frederick the Great was gay, however, people still claim he was straight. A lot of it is like whitewashing from Christianity. When the Roman Empire turned into the Holy Roman Empire, the church basically rewrote history, pushing the idea that women aren't allowed in leadership positions because they are not qualified and they've never been in leadership positions, despite them being teachers and philosophers, etc. Boosting the superiority of men, changing a lot of the historical figures. Like when it comes to the Roman gods, or like even like the Greek gods, etc., there's a lot of like gender fluidity and more freedom when it comes to like orientations and stuff. And like you can't suppress women, you can't view women as property and use them for breeding purposes if you allow women and men to be equal. This is what their problem is with trans people, and they're using religion in order to regain the power of men and, you know, white people, the white race, because cis straight white men are the most suppressed and oppressed group, actually. The tweet from chess.com posting the bishop and being like, give us name suggestions. They did that for all chess pieces, but people freaked out. Christian white nationalists want to be the victims so badly that they like completely lose the plot and like get so triggered about literally anything. They want a real life version of The Handmaid's Tale. Oh yeah. Another perfect leaders just ignore all the wars, capitalism, misogyny, racism, pollution, climate change, slavery, colonialism, etc. Oh yeah. Men are so fragile and emotional. Like you see that with Trump having like a mental breakdown in front of everyone in the White House when talking to Zelensky. No, it's fine. Cis women have periods, so no power for them. Oh yeah. Women are controlled by their hormones. And then you have like a man punching a hole in the wall because their favorite sports team lost. Like they kind of pull the victim card every time where they say everyone else is using it constantly. Oh yeah, it's just projection. That's what they are known for. Anytime in the US, another group that isn't Christians are using their right to freely express their religion, people just want to implement bills and want to ban them from doing that. Hysteria was illness, which was just woman speaking her mind. Do you know the advertisements during that period where it was like, is your woman hysterical? Try a lobotomy. Does your wife not want to submit to your whims? Put them on drugs. It's just insane to what length these people go in order to justify taking away the rights from other human beings. Like these fascists, they're always talking about how trans people and gender ideology is like being forced upon them. Meanwhile, they're literally saying they want Christianity and their doctrine be forced upon everyone by law. They are literally doing what they accuse us of. And all we want is just equality and actual like freedom. Anytime you're saying, hey, you know, you shouldn't say these slurs, or hey, you know, misgendering me is not a good thing, they're like streaming freedom of speech and how we are taking away their right to say whatever they want. But on the other hand, the Republican Party is like, if you have pronouns in your bio, in your email, then you're going to get fired. You're no longer allowed to say the word woman in scientific papers. Hypocrisy, not my favorite method, but you could just do it back. It doesn't work when the oppressed group does it. This sort of like reactionary stuff only works when you're in a position of power. When you're the privileged group. It sucks that like even facts, etc. don't matter. But like if you just give them the same energy back, then like you're not going to get anywhere because you're not in the position of power. So they always have the upper hand. And that is the part that is like extremely frustrating. They defund research because the word trans is in it. They defund research because they can't read. They defund research if the word woman or female is in it. They don't understand what is going on, you know, and then they call it fraud. And what they are doing is, why can I attach to nothing? What is that? They literally call anything fraud that they don't understand. And the reality is like they don't understand anything. They also don't understand intersex either. They don't understand anything. They just don't understand what is like happening, and they are so dumb. And what they are doing is by calling these things fraud is to like invalidate anyone who is like opposing these things. If they're like, oh, these $1 billion that are going to the transgender mice are now going to go to real good causes, and they're going to save the money of everyone, and we saved the planet from so much fraudulent activity, and then someone comes along and they're like, hey, you know, this is actually a good thing. These transgenic mice are actually being used in order to study real health risks, so we can find like a solution to like Alzheimer's, etc. If you're one of those people who like oppose these things, then these right-wingers are just going to point the finger and being like, oh, you're protecting the corruption. You're one of those people who want to have fraud in the government. So that's why they are doing it. Science educator, follow on YouTube, had a mental breakdown for how stupid that is. Yeah, but the thing is like, people are so dumb and they're stuck in their echo chamber that they literally fall for it and they cling to it. They're too arrogant and too stupid, too uneducated to just like break free from those shackles that they are being put in, and just marketing to stupid people. Yeah, it's reactionary stuff. That's how it works. It's just like you're using things that sound good, getting rid of fraud, getting rid of corruption. That's like a good incentive. Protecting women, protecting children, that's a good incentive, but they hide it behind toxic, dangerous things, you know, getting rid of research, scientific research, getting rid of funding for education to save the billionaires' money. It's just going into a billionaire's pocket. Getting rid of anyone who opposes that. Protecting, yeah, they're literally abusers and want to exploit women. They want to get rid of bodily autonomy for pregnant people. And it's just insane to me that people still cling on to the idea that this is a good thing. Who wants to abuse women? The right. Republicans, conservatives, I think that's what they do. Sadly, yes, I have a Republican face, so I can confirm literally everything you're saying is true. Yeah, it's just, if you don't know much about a topic, especially if you're part of like the group that are the oppressors, it is really easy to like fall for the lies if you don't have the empathy. You know, it's the idea with like, oh, women have it easier because if they're pretty, they just get like money from lonely men and they exploit them, and they feel so entitled, and they're able to, you know, hook up with people on Tinder like all the time. It's so much easier to date as a woman. Like they have like so high standards and you can't meet them. It's like if you're a man and you're struggling, that is a really easy way in order for you to like get captured in this right-wing agenda. What they're good at is uplifting idiots, or let's say below average people, with saying stuff like, if you think logical, which most people can, even idiots. I don't think these people are thinking logically. You know, common sense is just you being uneducated and thinking that what you know is all that there is to it, and that there's no nuance to any of it. It's just an easy way. It's like the same was like saying, oh, men are the logical gender and women are so emotional. It's just like manipulation in order to elevate men and distract from the fact that like testosterone pushes a lot of people into like angry situations, and it makes anger and aggressiveness worse. And if you don't have like an outlet, you know, if you don't talk about your feelings and you suppress that, and you don't have the emotional skill that you need in order to like be reasonable, then the idea of like they don't do feelings because masculinity, etc., is like just furthering that point that men aren't supposed to have feelings because they are supposed to be the logical ones. And that causes like so many more issues. Just meditate on your feelings away instead of dealing with them. Yeah, just suppress them. Men aren't supposed to have feelings, so you acknowledging that you have feelings is a bad sign, you know? And that is like toxic masculinity. It's also like pushing the idea that women hate men, or like that feminism hates masculinity, because they associate toxic masculinity with masculinity in general. But like toxic masculinity is just like shoving down your emotions, hatred for femininity, thinking that women owe you sexual favors, women are lesser because femininity is lesser. Toxic masculinity is also like arrogance, you know, when you never admit that you're wrong, never listening to a woman because you think that you
so
know
what are we
it better.
talking about here?
Why is it so loud? But like by associating toxic masculinity and being like, oh, you just call all masculinity toxic because you hate men, that's like an easy excuse in order to... Oh my fucking god, stop interrupting me! If you associate masculinity with like toxicity, it's just easier for these men to push the idea that feminism is just about pushing men down, but that's not what it means. It's really easy to appeal to people who do not know anything, because you can literally just take their experience and be like, you suffer because of this one group. Everything that you're being put through is because of that one group. And like, if you're the oppressor, if you're the privileged group, then it's like really easy for you to like push this idea. You know, you're inflicting pain and then you're like pointing the finger at someone else. Like, it's so much easier to get someone, or like tracking people onto your side using things like common sense than it is to teach someone the facts and explain to them what is actually going on in the world. Because like, while you are pulling out all your research, all your facts, all your scientific evidence and trying to explain things to these people, the right is just making shit up. And it's so astronomically harder to refute these bullshit claims, these lies, than it is to like make people understand why what they're saying is wrong. You see that with the transgender and transgenic mice. It's like, it's so easy to like explain what that is, but these people are, they just want to be angry. They just want to be upset. And like, the issue is that they don't even want to listen to your explanation.